The concept shrinking cities is characterized by decline in the urban population and economic activity. It is possible to differentiate three sources of shrinkage. Number 1. Deindustrialization. The distribution of industry and services whereby certain cities and regions have lost significance, for example Manchester and Liverpool in the United Kingdom. Number 2. Suburbanization. When residents, industry, services and culture leaves a city going into the outlying regions, for example Detroit in the United States of America. Number 3. Transformation. Structural change of the socialist organization of politics, society and the economy in Eastern Europe. The shrinking of cities is found in all areas of urban life, fundamentally transforming the cultural and social structure of a city. There is also growth in the process of shrinkage, which results in excess spaces, buildings and worn-down properties. Shrinking cities continue to sprawl beyond their borders and thereby undergo a twofold thinning out. Less activity is spread out over a greater space. In our project, we are looking at two ways for urban transformation to happen. That is, from a growing area and a shrinking area. We are comparing the shrinking city of Manchester with regards to the Castlefield area to the growing urban metropolis of Copenhagen with regards to the Carlsberg area situated in downtown area of Denmark's capital. We have decided to look at the urban transformation process from three different points of view. That is, industrial heritage, culture and sustainability.
Copenhagen is the capital of Denmark, the largest city in Scandinavia, with about 503,700 inhabitants. It is an old trading city and has over the centuries developed to a service and knowledge-orientated business city. The city is experiencing rapid development and the demand for building site is great. Major urban regeneration and development projects are going on near the city center, example giving the Southern Harbour, Holmen and Ørsted, just to mention a few. Copenhagen has become an attractive metropolis in Northern Europe. It offers a wide range of workplaces, educational institutes, cultural events and venues, as well as recreational facilities that attract many new citizens to the city. Development has been extensive, especially in the last 15 years, and the objective for Copenhagen is to continue to develop the city as an international capital with a strong urban identity. Carlsberg started the process of moving its brewery to Fredericia in Jutland in 2006 and by then announced a competition on developing the area.
Manchester is a city placed in Midwest England with 441,200 inhabitants. Manchester was at the forefront of the 19th century Industrial Revolution and was the world's largest marketplace for cotton goods. Manchester suffered greatly from the interwar depression and the underlying structural changes that began to supplant the old industries, including textile manufacture. That was the beginning of the deindustrialization. Between 1955 and 1983, manufacturing employment fell in Britain more than in any other industrialized country. Manchester City has undergone extensive regenerations since the late 1980s. New and renovated complexes have become popular shopping and entertainment destinations. The city's economy is now largely service-based with inward investments. The Castlefield area in Manchester was designated as Britain's first urban heritage park in 1982. It contains a wealth of Manchester industrial heritage, railways, canal systems and museums. Castlefield changed the citizens' attitude towards heritage. Not so long ago, most people in Manchester didn't want to live in the Castlefield area, but today most couldn't afford to live there. Considering industrial building as heritage is a new approach. From thinking of them as dirty, noisy, without any aesthetic or functional value, people today have been convinced that industry deserves recognition in our history, and the left buildings possess great potential for developing new and attractive urban spaces. Together with a new approach, the term industrial heritage has been introduced to be used when talking about the valuable building structures, space in between these structures, and the atmosphere in former industrial areas. But what consequences has neglect in the past had on the development of former industrial areas? And what role does growing and shrinking cities play in this matter? To get an idea, we consider the cases of Carlsberg and Castlefeld and ask, how is the industrial heritage dealt with over the process of urban transformation?
The winning proposal in the competition has pointed out the importance of keeping a high level of activity as soon as the beer production leaves the area, ultimo 2008. By now there is no certain strategy on the management of temporary use of the area, but to attract a broad range of visitors right from the beginning, activities of different kinds should have access. Until now, fashion shows, artists and consultancy groups have been using already left buildings.
In Castlefeld, the situation has been different. Since the city was shrinking as the industry left, there was no need to implement new function in the deserted buildings. No later attempts of maintenance or supervision made these industrial areas easy to occupy and therefore attractive for underground activities. So in Carlsberg, the cultural activities will be organized and controlled as in a typical top-down strategy, while in Castlefeld the cultural activities grew from the overtaking of grassroots.
The present use of Carlsberg is brewery industry, but the preparation for moving has already begun. In the future, the company Carlsberg will still be represented in the area, with the international headquarters, the brewery called Jacobsen, the Center for Research and the Visitors Center. Additionally, new activities connected to Carlsberg may occur. The goal for this new borough is to become a lively part of Copenhagen by having a high population density and a mixture of functions and activities. The remaining industrial buildings will house schools, cinemas, Turkish baths and galleries. Together with this, facilities for markets and sports will form the atmosphere and provide variety in the city life. The idea is to keep the ground floor occupied for public services and stores, offering culture, science and commerce, and to have apartments on the floors above. By this, the area will at the same time adjust to the scale of people instead of machines and industry, which is also why walking and bicycling will be the main way of traveling around the area. Besides, the scale of the buildings should suit the surroundings so that buildings close to Valby in the west area will be lower, while buildings close to Inghøvevej and Vesterbro in the east area will be higher.
Present use in Castlefeld is mainly tourism and recreation, which have transformed the area from a neglected corner of the city to a thriving major attraction with frequent popular events. Castlefeld is certainly developing, and industrial buildings are still being adapted to other uses. The buildings are exhibits in themselves and provide an ideal setting for the smaller items within. It is important that new proposals have similar dimensions as the old buildings. The height and the scale, the color, form, massing and materials of new building should relate to the existing high-quality structures and complement them.